Why are red onions called red onions when they're actually purple? This is an age-old internet question and it has come back up this week, so I'm going to answer in detail for you.
The fact that someone looked straight at a purple onion and then named it a red onion really bothers me.
To fully understand this, we have to talk about the history of color terms. In their book on basic color terms, Brent Berlin and Paul Kay argue that languages tend to add color terms in a fixed order. They argue that across the world, in the vast majority of languages, this is the color order that is added to language, starting with words for black and white, which are sometimes described as just light and dark, and then red. And it can be a long gap in between when a language gets the word red and then when they get their next color word. In fact, in some languages, the word red means literally any color that is not black or white. If there is a pigment, it is red. Red was also the first color used by artists during the Upper Paleolithic age. This depiction of a bison is in the cave of Altamira in Spain, and it's at least 17,000 years old. Red pigments were easily accessible to early peoples. Like this bison is colored with red ochre, but iron oxide was also used popularly. These handprints at the Cueva de los Manos in Argentina are some of my favorite examples of early use of red pigment. Everything in this cave is from between about 7300 BC and 780. Anyway, back to the color chart. After languages get the color red, they usually get either yellow or green next. And these stages are interchangeable. They could get green first or they could get yellow first, but they're usually going to get either yellow or green, followed by blue, then brown, and then all at once orange, pink, purple, and gray. Just to give you an idea about how recent some of these colors are, the first historical record of the English word orange used to describe the color and not the fruit comes from 1502. That's only like 500 years ago. And the word for the fruit came before the word for the color. This color used to be called yellow-red. And all of the etymology for the word orange, color or fruit, goes back to the Sanskrit word for orange tree. After a language gets all 11 of the basic color terms, they usually get the qualifiers next. Light blue, dark blue, pale red, deep red. Some languages deviate from this slightly, like Irish that has two words for the word green, one of which means natural greens like plants, and the other one means artificial greens like paints and dyes. So why is a red onion called red? The same reason that we say roses are red and violets are blue, even though violets are very much violet, which is a kind of purple. I'm going to use this Hues and Cues game board to explain. Basically, anything that fell into the purple, orange, yellow, brown category was called red. Purples, pinks, oranges, all red. It's also the same reason we call this hair color red, and why we call this red wine, even though it can come in a variety of hues from almost orange to purple. In fact, if you look up what color is red now, like I just looked up shades of red and pulled this from an image search, they're of course mostly what we think of as like a traditional red, but you definitely get some of these purpley pinks floating around in here. I pulled up the Wikipedia for shades of red, some usual traditional shades like crimson, and then also bat orange. Bat orange. It's one word. Is it batorange? I don't know. It says it's a nuance of the orange nectar bat species, and it's this bricky kind of brown. Garnet? A red, technically. Color is weird. Color names are weird. There's actually more reasons why it's called red onion. And one of them is it's kind of red. Also, things like the pH in the soil where it's grown can affect how much of the blue hue comes out in these red onions. But some of them are definitely more red than others, whereas some are definitely more purple. And another important factor is that the dye, the pigment that can be made from the skins of these onions, tends to be red. Very little purple at all comes out of it. If you found any of this interesting, I want to put you onto an episode of Radiolab called Colors. This might be my favorite episode of any podcast ever to be created. It explains so many interesting nuances of color in this podcast. If you're not sold already, this episode also contains a choir singing a multi-part harmony about a mantis shrimp. I hope this answered any questions you might have about why red onions are called red onions. That's it for now. Love you guys. Drink water. Bye!